Hello everyone, welcome back to Age Nagash, which is a channel dedicated to Age Sigmar. Now, this is going to be my initial thoughts on the Flesh Eater Court Battletome. So I'm not going to go into huge detail here at all about any particular bits of the Battletome. This is just basically, I've just got back from work. I'm going to have to go to bed soon as well, as obviously early start and all that sort of thing. But I wanted to at least give you my initial thoughts on the Battletome on the day of its release, as I'm sure there's been plenty of videos already out there talking about the Battletome, but I really wanted to give you my thoughts on it as well, as I've been playing the Flesh Eater Courts for, well, since Ages Sigmar, before there were even Flesh Eater Courts, to be honest with you. So it's really, really nice to see how they change. So to start with, I'll get over with, I'll say there are some nerfs to the army here. You know, it's not all, you know, sunshine and lollipops and all that sort of thing, or, you know, like, what, skulls and intestines for the Flesh Eater Courts. There are some bits that, you know, are negative here, some negative changes. However, overall, it is a positive change. There are some good changes here. Now, what I want you guys to do as well at the end of this video, while you're watching this video, at any point, doesn't really matter. I want you guys to put in the comments down below how much detail you want me to review these Flesh Eater Courts. Because I am happy to treat them how I have done with my previous armies for the archive, as I've done quite a few now. I could basically, when I do the lore for these guys, I could just sum it up in a, you know, 10-20 minute long video. I could turn it into an hour video. I could talk about the Flesh Eater Courts as a whole. I could talk about the lore for each individual unit. I could talk about the lore for individual courts, as they seem to have a nice sort of separate play style, and more importantly in the lore video, how that is reflected in the lore, or how the lore is reflected in their play style even. And then when it comes to going into their army, you know, firstly there's the allegiance abilities. So with these guys, there's obviously a bit more allegiance abilities than I have done with the you know, previous armies. The last few armies have been, you know, like the unpopular ones, and I don't mean unpopular as in they're not cool, but unpopular in a way that is quite cool, because it means if you're playing those armies, you know, you're pretty much doing something quite unique, which is nice. However, the Flesh Eater Courts are obviously going to become very popular, and as such, and they've got a new Battletome. They have got, you know, spells, they've got lots of different artifacts, all that sort of thing. So I could cover all of that in one allegiance ability video. It'd be quite long. And then going into the units, yeah, that's quite straightforward. The Flesh Eater Courts don't have too many units. And then you could do a separate one for obviously their heroes and their battalions. And yeah, that's really what I want to get from you guys in this video in the comments. Like I said, this is going to be quite a simplistic video, but I really want you guys to let me know how you want me to fully review the Flesh Eater Courts. I mean, I will happily do 10 videos for Flesh Eater Courts. I will happily do, you know, 5 videos for Flesh Eater Courts. I will happily do how many videos you would like me to do, as, you know, it is my favourite army. So I will absolutely guarantee to you guys, while I'm reviewing them, I will ramble on. I will probably talk about things that don't sound relevant. I will probably talk about my own desires for the army. I'll probably talk about things that aren't the most competitive, but things that I find really cool. I can guarantee all those things to you guys, as I will absolutely get carried away while talking about this army and sort of probably forget what I was meant to be talking about. So you can guarantee that, and I do not apologise for when I do so. So, like I say, I want to get that out of the way first. Let me know down below how you want me to review the Flesh Eater Courts, because I want this, like I've said several times now, to be, you know, just like the initial thoughts of the Battletome, and it's going to be quite a short video, whilst I get your guys' thoughts on how you want me to actually review the army properly in the massive series I'm going to do for them. So, right, now we've got that pre-ramble out of the way, let's get into what I think of the Battletome and how it's changed them. Okay, so Flesh Eater Courts, like I said, overall, there are some nerfs, but overall, they have definitely got better from this, you know, Battletome. There's like a few things I just pick out. So there's Feeding Frenzy, which is now a command ability that lets you make a unit attack twice, instead of the thing that it used to be before. It's like when an enemy unit gets wiped out by like your Flesh Eater Court unit, roll a dice, and on a 6 that Flesh Eater Court unit gets to pile and attack again if there's an enemy unit within 3 inches, and this, that, and what is terrible. But now, no, you just get to attack again. It is cool. Yeah, it costs your command point, but still good. Disillusions have changed. Some changed a little bit. And the main one here I can see is the Crusading Army. Not as good as it used to be. So they used to let you reroll your run and charge rolls. Now it's just add 1 to run and charge rolls, which I don't think is as good for your Flesh Eater Court unit. But obviously, going on, just based on going from the start of the sort of, you know, gameplay element of the Battletome, just going through to the end and just briefly looking at everything. So you got your command traits and your artifacts power. Obviously, huge change here for the Flesh-Eater Courts. And for me personally, as I play a very much a courtier army, it's really nice to see that there's specific courtier command traits and artifacts, which is really, really cool. Because the courtiers traditionally, they don't have their command abilities. They've the new edition Age of Sigmar, they've been granted additional command abilities, and they've got the extra one in the book, which is Feeding Frenzy now, which was cool. However, you still felt like you were missing out a little bit by making them your general, because I made them my general so I could have my flares and my horrors as battle line. But I always felt like, I'm missing out, a little bit, because, you sort of feel like the Ghoul King should be your general. However, now I don't really feel like that. I feel like I can take one of these as my general, which I always did anyway. But now I feel like I'm actually getting extra things from it. I can pick a specific command trait for them, a specific artifact, which is very nice to see. And then going on to the next bit. So we've got the spell laws, some very nice spells in here. I will review them in full detail when I go into the allegiance abilities and stuff for the Flesh-Eater Courts. But yeah, some very nice ones here. So ones that, like if you get a lot of, because a few that if you cast them on a 10 or more, they do like, instead of the effect happening once, happens triple times. And what I really like about these spells is a lot of them are very supportive. They're not so much offensive. Or debuffing your enemy, which is really powerful, the debuffing your enemy, as we see in the Legions and the Nagash Battletome. However, it's nice to see that the Flesh-Eater Court ones are really supportive towards the army, because it's a really synergetic army that each of the War Scrolls in the Flesh-Eater Court Battletome, some of them, they are generally pretty good War Scrolls. However, they're not the best, but it's where the army all works together where they really, really come out and become really, really good. So it's nice to see the spell laws supporting the army as a whole rather than just like being offensive and debuffing the enemy, which is boring. And your enemy, I mean, like, if we compare it to, Spectral Grasp from the Legions of the Gash, Battletome, for the Law of the Death Mages, I believe. I used to take that to tournaments all the time, put it, Nagash casts it, he gets it on a, 9 or more, obviously unmodified, then you pick 2 terrain features and enemy units within 3 inches of them, half the movement characteristic. And yeah, that's great for me, because now the enemy can't get to the objectives, or this, I can put things in play, so I can, make the enemy's days hell. However, I just feel like, if that happened to me, it would be so boring, your opponent doing that to you, and then it's basically just nerfed your whole army, which is, I know that's the object of the game, to beat your opponent, of course it is, and especially in a tournament setting, if you don't like it, why are you going to a tournament sort of feeling. However, I just feel like, if I was playing against an enemy army, I'd rather, if its spells had 2 things, which was either debuff me or incredibly buff up their own units, I'd rather it buff up their own units than ruin my lovely army I came up with. So yeah, it's nice there. I think that's why it's nicer for the opponent as well. I mean, there are obviously some things here your opponent's not going to enjoy, but at least you're not debuffing them, which I think on a sportsmanship way is a bit nicer. I know that's how some armies rely on it, and no disrespect to those armies, but it's nice to see it's a little bit different Flesh-Eater Courts. And also the law for the spells of Flesh-Eater Courts is the Law of Madness. It was absolutely delightful. Obviously, it's not madness in reality, because Flesh-Eater Courts, I don't even know what they're called, Flesh Eaters. I believe that was the barbaric tribe that was once upon the kingdom that the noble courts got rid of in their shining knightly armour and their pristine steeds. But nonetheless, we'll take that, a bit of a, sarcastic nickname to our law of fantastic wizardry. And then moving on, we have got mount traits. So this is absolutely awesome. Also, what I want to say when I'm talking about all this sort of stuff, I know there's been, a few previews already, and there's so much stuff on Facebook, just basically talking about, oh, this has changed, this is what new things that happen to Flesh-Eater Courts. But if you guys have already looked at that stuff, fair enough, you've already got a bit ahead of the game. But for me personally, I was like, they're my army. I want to read about them myself in the book, and not, I think I mentioned this before, I don't want to review what other people have said. I want to, review it from my own thoughts from reading the book. So for me, a lot of this stuff I'm reading is new, so for me it's awesome that we've got mount traits, almost like a Stormcast armor now. Only kidding, because, the Flesh-Eater Courts are not the golden boy of the GW Age of Sigmar line, and the Stormcast can all be flayed alive and burn in hell for all that I really care about, those fucking little bastards. Anyway, so it's lovely that we've got mount traits now. We've got, you know, one for the Terrorgeist and one for the Zombie Dragons. Absolutely fantastic. I'd also love it for our armoured steeds that are courtiers ride into battle, and particularly the, you know, the Pegasus that are crit flare courtiers and our Vargolf courtiers ride into battle. But for some reason they haven't added those onto the mount trait here. There's no for horses or Pegasus, you know, knights, which is a little bit annoying. It's almost like we don't have, you know, like horse models or, you know, Pegasus models, but it must have just been something where Games Workshop missed. I mean, it's a little bit annoying. Maybe I get FAQ'd in, but you know, maybe in the next Battletome we'll get that. But it's I'm turning the page now and we can't see it, so that's a little bit of a shame. But however, we'll just stick with our Griffin and Hippogriff ones for now. So yeah, nice to have mount traits for those great noble creatures. And then going into the next bit, so it talks about the channel phone. So yeah, the CMU piece, it's cool. There's some restrictions, you know, you can't set it up on top of an objective. Absolutely fair enough. It's got to be within, wholly within 12 inches of a board edge. Yeah, that's fair enough, because you're going to be bringing guys on from the board edge. And it has to be more than 1 inch away from objectives and terrain features, but you can do that. And then it's also a little bit saying, like, if both players have one of these things set up, it's like, well, that's quite unusual. You don't often fight against the same army. Guarantee by how much the Flesh Eater Court's like Facebook page has gone up in numbers lately, you can guarantee you'll be fighting a Flesh Eater Court army in probably not too long, even if you've got one yourself, which I can imagine it's going to be a huge battle of endurance. And yeah, you can have it as, like, you know, knightly courts fighting against each other and stuff for noble honour and valour and chivalry and stuff, but at the same time it's like it's going to be such a long game. You know, obviously if its objective is a bit shorter, but just God, that'd be a massive grinding match. But anyway, so that's just something that might be more relevant. Obviously, China Throne, I talked about what the throne does. So yeah, that's all good. We've got a courts now, which are absolutely fantastic. When I say courts, obviously not just courts, they are grand courts. So very, you know, big distinction there. Makes them very cool. But the nice thing here is that, like I said, I'm not going to go into detail of every one, but they specialise in different things. So we got the Morgant Grand Court, I think that's how that's pronounced. It specialises in your serfs. What if you don't know are basically your crypt ghouls, as that's the keyword they've got now. You've got the Hallow Morn Grand Court, which specialises in your courtiers and your knights and things like that. And that is actually one I'm going to look to do probably, because I run a lot of knights in my army, and I can say it now, I don't have to say crypt horrors or crypt flares, and I can say knights without sounding like a buffoon in the store, as they do have the knight's keyword, so I'll be happy to point that out to my opponent continually, and it will make me just bring the most chivalry, sort of noble and honourable lists I can come up to for our grand courts. Okay, and then we've got the blister skin or grand court, which to be honest, it just makes things a lot faster. Which is nice, because you got, you know, I'm sure you've seen the blister speed, so you get add one to Mukash, absolutely huge. Even for your ghouls, moving at 8 inches now for ghouls. Crypt Horrors now moving 9 inches, and then obviously your Crypt Flares moving 14 inches is absolutely huge, and your Terrorgeist and Zombie Dragons, of course, moving 16, which is a huge thing to have across the board. Extra way for you to get command points, stuff like that, which is cool. And then we've got the Gristlegore Grand Court. And the thing what I like about all these Grand Courts is, probably can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I've pronounced every single one of them nicely right, which is good for me when it comes to made up names. Okay, and then the Gristlegore one is basically, this is your monster one. You take this if you want to have your monsters at battle line. If you want to have your royal, you know, Terrorgeist and Zombie Dragons for your battle line, you take this one. If you only want to paint like 4 models in your army, just don't even look at the other courts, look at this one and just saw it. And when obviously I say royal Zombie Dragons and Terrorgeist, I mean that's what we've got written down here, but we obviously know they are royal Pegasus and Hippogriffs, of course. Ignore, you know, there's so many spelling mistakes here, you know. There's things like, if I just look at them, it's like, well, something here says Crypt Flares, and obviously that's meant to say Pegasus Knights. We've got Crypt Horse, which is meant to say Knights of the Realm. I mean, honestly, the spelling mistakes here are a bit embarrassing, really, from Games Workshop, but, you know, we know what they mean, don't we? So, that is fine. Okay, and then going into a battle plan. Yay, that's cool. No one's really going to play that, so moving on. Path to Glory. Cool, don't play that, so I'm moving. Apologies if you do play these things, but I don't, so I'm not going to talk about them, as I would be lying to you guys and my knowledge, and I do not like to do that. Okay, we have got our War Scroll battalions, and there have been some changes there, and I don't really want to go into too much detail, as like I say, I'm going to be doing separate videos on all of these. However, they've all got weaker. There we go. All the battalions have got weaker, as far as I can see. Definitely, yeah, nerfs to all of them. However, the battalions have got cheaper. When I say the battalions got cheaper, I haven't counted up the points for all of them because I don't have that much time. But I would say if they haven't, every single one got cheaper. Most of them have done. The Dead Watch has got cheaper and it's got weaker. But for me, I'm really happy with the change to Dead Watch battalion. And if you're wondering why, you can see that in my battalion video I'm going to do for them. Because, yeah, I really am happy with the nerf they've got there. And I'll tell you why in that video. Okay, so yeah, we got the battalions. No new battalions. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit sad there's no new battalions. I was expecting some. I was expecting them to change some, you know, like get rid of this one, put in a new one. But no, that's how Games Workshop wants to do it. That's a little bit of a shame, but that's fine. We've got obviously all the units, and I've talked about these already, haven't I, guys, when we did the updated War Scrolls on the app that I went through. So not going to put much detail into them because obviously, like I say, I'm going to go into their own separate videos. Anyway, and then we have also got the spells, which I've already talked about. Their rules, you can all find this on the channel through the videos, guys. Not too far back, all talking about the Karen Empire. You can find all the information. I talked about it there. And then that just goes into points. And yes, some things have gone up in points, some things haven't. I mean, I can tell you at the top of my head, the crit flares have gone up to 170 points. So they've gone up 10 points. I'm absolutely fine with this, as flares have definitely got a lot better. This has all been talked about on Facebook before. I've talked about it in my video when I reviewed the War Scroll. I'm sure you guys all know how good their shooting attack is now. And when people say, oh, it's really overpowered, well, it's not really, because if you're not within 3 inches of the enemy, then you're -2 to your dice roll, basically, that you're going to roll. And then it brings down the average and how much more wins you're going to do the enemy. But there's the potential of doing loads more wins. And this is what I like about it. This is what I like compared to, you know, a more sort of reliable sort of shooting attack, which the shooting attack wasn't before. The shooting attack before was shite. However, what I like is the risk reward. How, you know, it could be really good or it could be not so good. You could roll, you know, a double 1. Or you could roll a double 6. You know, you could do loads more wins to the enemy. And if you don't really know what I'm talking about, rest assured you can go to my video where I talked about the War Scrolls, or you can wait until I do my full review for them. And yeah, there's that. And like I say, 170 points they are now, which is obviously gone up 10 points. Obviously 10 points more than Cryptoids now. However, I expected them to go up to 180 at least. So yeah, that's fine with me. And then that's pretty much it, guys. So I haven't really talked about much of the lore in this. Obviously the lore for Flesh Eater Courts is fantastic. There's not too much artwork in this book. Well, not too much new artwork, importantly to say. There are quite a few, there's nice sort of like edges to the page and all that sort of thing. A lot of spinal cords, very nice. Lots of new pictures of the army they have done. Lots of new shots, lots of new photos. I want to say there's not a lot of artwork. I mean, there is a fair bit of artwork, to be fair. You know, it's wrong for me to say that, but they've recycled some, shall we say, through the past Flesh Eater Court Battletome. And yeah, it's a little bit of a shame, because if you still had hope for, you know, like new Flesh Eater Court units, there are none. Even if there's like a big monstrous beast pulling a massive corpse cart, yeah, that's not here, guys, unfortunately. Who knows, it could be a Forge World unit coming out at some point in the future, but don't get your hopes up. But it could be something really cool to dream about. So yeah, there's that. Like I said, I'm just going through the book now, trying to see what else I've seen change. There's a lot more, you know, there's a lot more lore here, guys, and like I said, I'm more than happy to go through it. Well, I say I'm more than happy to go through it. I will be going through it for their first Flesh Eater Court video. As before we go into all the precise rules, obviously have to talk about the lore first, as it's very important. I mean, for me, it's like when you open up a you know, if it's your birthday or Christmas and you've got a present, you always open the card first before you open the present. You know, you always, you know, save the rules and stuff for the present in that case as a treat, don't you? In my opinion. There's a lovely new artwork here where they talk about, you know, the lore of the zombie dragons and the Terrorgeist, or Terrorgeist, which is very nice. Yeah, guys, so yeah, I'm just like nitpicking and stuff for things I like. What I would say is the the Battletome, if you're hoping for a huge new massive army update for the Flesh Eater Courts, don't be too hopeful because there hasn't really been too many changes. However, I have seen posts on Facebook where people say, oh, I don't even know why they bothered with a new Battletome because there's barely anything that's changed. No, there are things that changed. There's loads of painting guides and things like that as well. It's definitely been, Flesh Eater Courts, I would say, have definitely been given, you know, a facelift, if you like. Probably not the best term to use because, you know, one of their faces pushed, oh, you don't know what that looks like. However, it's definitely been given the second edition treatment, which is nice to have for the Flesh Eater Courts, as the Battletome was one of the most earliest ones to come out, and they've been through a lot of quite a bit of turbulence change, because when the Battletome first came out, and you know, before points came in, it was like, these guys are amazing, you know, they just don't die, and they die, but you know, every one you kill, two come back, and it's just to the point where they were overpowered, and then points came in, and it was like, oh well, no, their command abilities really work now because you don't really want to save any of the points, and then it changed again and again and again, and now we are where we are, which is a nice point for them. So yes, what I would say is also I did the same what I did for the Skaven, and these Battletomes where I have literally just opened up probably about half an hour ago, yeah, probably about 10 minutes before I started doing this video, something like that, because like I always say, I want to review things for the first time when I talk about on here, so I'm talking, you know, basically from the first things that come off my head, because I like to be honest to you guys rather than basically rehearsing what I want to say about the book, because I don't really see the point of that. I know some people do it, and that's absolutely fine. People have scripts and all that sort of thing, but I'm not a script sort of person, as you guys can probably tell. So first time opening this one, and I've still got the Skaven one wrapped. However, this was also the first time I ordered the collector's edition for any Battletome. I was very, very skeptical ordering the collector's edition because it's double the price of a normal Battletome, and all you get is a nice front cover. It's one of, I mean, like mine's 170 out of 400 of these collector's edition Battletomes for Flesh Eater Courts come out. So it's one of 400 in this case. You get, you know, like gold, is it gold edge lined pages? I think that's the term for it. Like I said, really nice front and back cover. You get a page marker. The pages feel quite nice. They feel a bit different as well, quite like nice and sort of like I don't know, like a nice touch, if that's the best way to describe it. And like I said, they've got like a book marker, and that's really it. That's all you're getting for double the price. So that's all you're getting for. So for me, I've got these from Games Workshop. So both these books have cost me £100, which they would normally cost me £50. So it's double the price. And all I've got is a nice front cover, a little, what's it, just like a string bookmark sort of thing, gold gilded, you know, edge line pages, and a nice touch to the pages as well, and that cost me double the price. And some people said, yeah, you know, they don't like the collector's editions because it's double the price for very little. However, what I can tell you guys from my own honest opinion is, obviously this is my opinion, so if you're using this to decide if you want to buy one or not, that's up to you, if they're still available. However, I'm really happy I went for the collector's edition. Yes, it's double the price for what doesn't seem like a lot, but for me, for these two armies as well, I mean, my Flesh Eater Courts army is my baby army. I've talked about this many times before. You know, if I had to pick one tournament to go to, well, if I went to a tournament tomorrow, I had to pick one army, it would be Flesh Eater Courts. Like, boom, I know what I'm doing them. Well, a little bit of time to read the Battletome first, before I know exactly what I'm doing in the new edition, but I feel very confident with them. And yeah, it's my army, so it's like I had to. Basically, when I say I had to, I mean I came up with an excuse to spend double the money on a book, and I did that very well. I managed to come up with an excuse to spend more money for Warhammer, which is surprisingly not too hard to do. And yeah, really, it just feels like there's a lot of quality in the book. I mean, if you're looking for really value for money, just get the normal book. Or honestly, you're not getting really anything special. Or oh, that's the wrong term. You're not really getting anything extra in this book. But what you are getting in the collector's edition is you're getting the special feeling, and that's honestly how I feel. If you're on a budget, don't worry about it. Just literally get a normal edition, definitely. But if you've got a bit more money to spend and it's your favourite army, I would recommend getting the collector's edition, as it's just a really nice touch. Am I worried about damage in the book when I take it to games and potential tournaments? Absolutely. I'm worried about it every time. I'll chuck this in a bag and probably scratch the corners and the book face, and I'll probably go like, oh, that's cost me a bit of money. You know, that's damaged my very valuable book sort of thing. But I don't care. I mean, some people use the app, so they buy the Battletome on the app and buy the collector's edition, so they can, you know, basically put the collector's edition on a shelf and take the app for games. Now, there's a part of me that wants to do that. However, I'll probably just take this collector's edition everywhere I go. Probably be dog-tailed, you know, have dog ears, wherever the term is, scratches, all that sort of thing. But it will be worn, and it looks like it's been holded by the Carrion King himself, which means everything to me. So, yes, that's the case. Haven't unwrapped the Skaven one yet. Sure, it's going to feel exactly the same. And for me, yes, like I said, I could justify getting it for the Fleshly Courts, so they're my baby. But why the Skaven? It's an army I haven't really played too much of. It's a brand new army to me. However, I love the Skaven forever. I'm not, like I've said with Fleshly Courts, I'm a very self-centered person in a sense. With the Fleshly Courts, I am very annoyed that they became popular now, because they were my baby and now everyone's going to do them, and that's very, very annoying for me. From a very self-centered point of view, you know, I feel like, you know, like everyone starting Fleshly Court armies and feel like, just fuck off, it's my army. And that's a really horrible thing for me to say, because obviously that's a really self-centered thing to say, and I do wholly apologise. However, I'm a massive hypocrite when it comes to the Skaven one, because like I've never played the army, and I'm like, yeah, I'm all in Skaven, all that sort of thing, been doing it for ages. Absolutely not. I have not been doing it for ages. I just haven't liked this game for a long time, and I'm joining the fucking bandwagon for them. So, you know, it makes me a massive hypocrite in that sense, but oh well, fuck it. And the reason why I went for collector's edition with the Skaven is because I say I love the lore, and I feel like the Skaven deserve the special treatment. Even if Games Workshop's not going to give them the special treatment by going, oh, you can't, you know, like, oh, you're not going to have new models, that sort of thing, beyond the spells and the scenery and the Bombardier, you're not going to have any new models or updated models for your resonant metal characters. No, which has really, really annoyed me. Hasn't nearly annoyed me as much as the fact that I only found out the other day that the Poison Wind mortar is gone, and I've particularly annoyed about this because I have just painted up probably about 1 or 2 weeks ago 2 Poison Wind mortar models. I just you know, built them, rebased them. Well, sorry, not built them because they're already built on square bases. Rebased them. Obviously, you know, spray them, paint them up, all that sort of thing, and I spent a little bit of time on them and all that sort of stuff, and now I can't use them. So that's a little bit annoying. Very much so. Not happy with Games Workshop in the slightest about that, but that's fine. However, that aside, me stop complaining about my own personal Warhammer issues. I had to get the special edition for this game because, you know, they deserve the special treatment. And yep, these Battletomes could go out of date, you know, next year, but I severely doubt that. So I feel like they're safe. However, if, as an example, Stormcast, like the special edition Stormcast, you know, Battletome, let's say that comes out when they get their next Battletome, which is probably going to have already came out by the time this video is uploaded onto YouTube, so probably within, you know, the next half an hour they probably would have a 6th Battletome out, I want to say, by that point. I would not get the collector's edition for Stormcast, even if you're a massive fan, just because how quickly would that become out of date? And similarly, also Khorne's getting a new Battletome. This is also the 3rd Battletome since Age of Sigmar began, which is, what's that on average, like 1 a year, maybe a bit more than that. And yeah, with Khorne, it's like you're a little bit more safer, but I wouldn't get the collector's edition for Khorne just because it's an army that gets updated quite a lot. And if obviously you want to collect every single Battletome, you don't care about that stuff, that's absolutely fine. But you know, if you want value for money that way, like if I knew Fleshly Courts were going to get an update, you know, in a year's time, I would not get the collector's edition because I'd feel like for a year it's not worth it. But I know this book's going to last me a long time, as the first Fleshly Courts Battletome did. So guys, I've rambled on enough. I spent about 10 minutes talking about bloody collector's edition for Battletomes. But I just wanted to give you guys my personal thoughts. And like I said, this video, like I said, was going to be brief. And I was like, it's going to be brief. Oh, I can do this in about 10 minutes. I've gone on again and again and again and again and again, as I always do, and talk about things in more details than I should. But what I really can't empathise enough, what I want from you guys to do, as you've been fantastic lately putting comments on videos, but what I want you to do is to keep that up and to put on the comments for this video, like I said at the start, how much in depth do you want me to go to the Fleshly Courts? Because if I get no responses here, or not many few responses and all that sort of thing. I am going to make probably about 5 to 10 videos of these guys, and you might not want that. I would more been happy going into more detail about the flesh eater courts than not so much detail. So it really is up to you guys to stop me spending the next few weeks on flesh eater court videos. It's really up to you. So if you don't tell me you don't want that, or you do want that, or you want a happy medium, that's what you can expect. So like I say, let me know your thoughts down below. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Like I say, it's just been a brief summary of what I thought of the changes and all that sort of thing. Flesh eater courts have got better, rest assured. And the things that some people say have some negative changes have got some positivity to them as well. So like I say, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please like, subscribe, and comment down below. So that does help me massively. I'm really close to the golden number of subscribers I've been waiting for a very long time, and it's really amazing seeing the number tick ever closer to the golden number I've been looking forward to. So that's been absolutely amazing. What I can say, guys, if you do enjoy the content and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, as it is. I don't usually say that too much, but it does make honestly a massive difference. And as soon as I get to that number, it's going to feel like a massive achievement for the channel. And also, when I say like a massive achievement for the channel, I mean obviously to you guys as well for the support you've given me. So anyway, guys, I thank you very much for watching this video. Like I said, if you like the video, give it a like, subscribe, and comment. It's amazing. If you can't do that, that's absolutely fair enough. But remember, guys, most importantly, we have got the flesh eater courts and they don't get along with Nagash and all that sort of thing. However, remember, Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.